These two. Honestly, Jason muttered, shaking his head as he watched Marty and Galati charge ahead. Oh, whatever. It's just a C-rank leopard. With their strength, they should be able to handle it. Let them go. The two rivals eagerly engaged the beast, their competitiveness fueling every strike. Within moments, the leopard lay dead. Marty moved fast, but Galati was faster. He snatched the beast crystal from the leopard's corpse and brought it back to Jason with a triumphant grin. Looks like I beat you to it again, Galati teased, tossing the crystal between his hands. Marty scoffed. Please, I'm the one who actually landed the killing blow. You just got lucky with your grab. Whoever gets the crystal owns it. That's the rule. You can whine all you want, Galati shot back smugly. You're shameless. All you did was swoop in at the last second. Marty snapped. All right, enough. Jason interjected before it escalated. We didn't come all this way to bicker over one beast. There'll be plenty more chances to prove who's better. As the group chuckled and eased up, Villian suddenly grabbed Jason's arm, eyes wide with alarm. Jason, I think we're in trouble. Huh? Jason followed his gaze and froze. A swarm of hyenas had surrounded them, their snarls echoing across the clearing. Among them, several glowed faintly with an eerie blue aura. 20, maybe 30 of them. Jason whispered, This is bad. Galati's face turned pale. Their individual strength may be low, but in numbers? I heard a pack this size can take down a B-rank beast. So, should we run? Marty asked, his earlier bravado gone. Run where? Galati snapped. You think we can outrun a hyena pack? Everyone stay calm, Jason ordered. Watch your surroundings. Move as one. The circle of hyenas tightened, tension thick in the air. Jason glanced at Galati. Got any bright ideas? Divide and conquer, Galati said. Scatter the pack and take them down one at a time. Jason rolled his eyes. Great idea. Now tell me how we're supposed to scatter a pack that's already encircling us. Before Galati could answer, a piercing howl echoed, the alpha. A hyena with a radiant yellow glow stepped forward and barked a command. The entire pack charged. Here they come. Marty roared, swinging his axe and cleaving one in half. That first kill ignited the chaos. The rest of the hyenas surged forward, snarling and snapping. The team backed into a defensive circle, weapons flashing as they fought tooth and claw. Don't fall, Galati shouted, slicing another hyena. If you go down, you're done. Jason gritted his teeth, breathing hard. We can't keep this up. We'll be overwhelmed eventually. There has to be a way out. Villian cried, parrying a strike. Jason's eyes flicked to the glowing alpha still standing at the edge of the fray. That one is not moving. It must be the leader. You want to take out the alpha? Galati said, spotting it too. That thing's radiating B-level rage. It'll be tough. But if we take it down, maybe the rest will scatter, Jason replied. We got to try. Jason took a breath. Cover me. I'm going for it. No way. We can't let you go alone. Marty shouted. Yeah, let me go. Galati argued. I'm faster. Jason raised his voice, cutting them off. I'm your leader. I won't hide behind you. Cover me. Without waiting for a response, Jason charged. His sword lit up with blue rage as he slashed through the weakest spot in the circle. Marty immediately followed, guarding his flank as Jason fought through the chaos. Blood smeared across Jason's face, but he pushed forward, his muscles burning, his hand numb from overuse. Somehow he broke through. Panting, he wiped his face and whispered, too intense. He'd never even killed a chicken before today. Now he'd cut down over a dozen beasts. His sword hand trembled, so he switched to his offhand, took a deep breath, and stepped toward the alpha. The glowing hyena bared its fangs, its eyes locked on Jason. He could feel the killing intent radiating from it. Every instinct told him to run, but he kept walking. This is your last chance, Jason said, his voice cracking. Leave now, or I'll show you just how sharp this sword really is. I'll show you just how sharp my sword is. Jason stammered, sweat beading on his forehead as he stared down the glowing hyena. The beast responded by flaring its yellow aura, its muscles tensing like a drawn bow. Its jaws parted in a low, guttural growl and its hind legs scraped the ground in preparation to lunge. Jason forced himself to stand tall, even as his legs threatened to buckle. "So we're doing this, fine. Come on, then." With a shriek, the hyena launched itself into the air, jaws wide and eyes gleaming with malice. Jason instinctively raised his sword to block, but the beast was faster, too fast. Mid-air, it twisted, gathering its aura into a paw, and swatted the weapon aside with terrifying force. Jason's sword clattered to the dirt, and the hyena's gaping mouth lunged for his neck. At the last second, Jason dropped flat, hitting the ground with a thud. The hyena snapped at empty air and landed lightly behind him, baring its teeth in what looked like mockery. Scrambling back to his feet, Jason panted heavily, dirt smudged across his face. "Why, yeah, laugh it up. That bite would have hit an artery. I'd be a corpse by now," he muttered, trying to justify his dodge. But the hyena king didn't seem impressed. It paced toward him with an arrogant strut, its posture radiating disdain. "What? You think I'm beneath you?" Jason growled. "You mocking me now?" His pride flared. Gripping his blade tightly, Jason stood tall again, meeting the hyena king's sneer with a glare of his own. The beast roared and charged, a reckless, overconfident attack. Jason didn't retreat this time. He steeled himself, anger and adrenaline numbing his fear. He noticed an opening, the beast's exposed underbelly mid-leap. As it soared toward him, Jason dropped low and slashed upward with the lion hunter, now coated in a blue aura of rage. Clang! The blade barely grazed the hyena's side before it twisted away. Still, the cut had landed, and more importantly, it had surprised the beast. "So you can be hurt," Jason said with a smirk. "Good, because I didn't come all this way to get mauled by some oversized mutt." Fueled by newfound courage, Jason charged. The hyena met his attack head-on. Jason swung, but he was still too slow. The beast ducked under his blade and sank its fangs deep into his arm. "Ah, damn it!" Jason screamed, rage aura flaring around the wounded limb. But the hyena's bite was relentless. Blood poured freely, his strength waning fast. With his free hand, Jason pounded the beast's skull, but it didn't budge. Instead, it began shaking its head violently, trying to tear his arm from the socket. "Shit, if I fight it, I'll lose the whole arm." Then, an idea. Jason gritted his teeth and channeled his rage into his foot, then kicked upward, hard, aiming for the hyena's groin. The result? Nothing. Pain flared in his foot, but the hyena didn't even flinch. And then it hit him. "This damn thing's a female." "Oh, you gotta be kidding me." Jason yelled, panic flooding back. The hyena king growled deep in its throat and bit down harder. Jason could feel its teeth grinding against bone. Tears stung his eyes. Think. That's when he saw it. Its eyes. Wide. Unprotected. Without hesitation, Jason jabbed 2 fingers toward the beast's eye socket, his fingertips burning with rage-infused energy. The hyena shrieked and flinched, its jaws loosening for a split second. Jason tore himself free, grabbed his fallen sword with both hands, and with a cry of desperation and fury, lunged forward. "I won't die here. I'm the protagonist. You hear me?" He drove the sword forward, straight into the hyena's eye. The blade sank deep with a sickening crunch. The hyena reared back, shrieking in agony, blood gushing from the wound like a fountain. Jason yanked the sword free and stumbled back, panting, soaked in blood, some his own, some not. The hyena king collapsed to the ground, howling, thrashing, and bleeding uncontrollably. Jason stood over it, breath ragged, his sword trembling in his hand. He had won, but barely, and the price wasn't small.
Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
The hyena king was rolling over and over on the ground, blood flowing from the moment Jason's sword was pulled out. Jason stared blankly at the hyena king. This was the first time he had killed a living animal so cruelly with a sharp weapon. Seeing this scene, his heart felt numb for a while, but he still prayed for the hyena king to fall down quickly and stop standing up again. But the sky just didn't follow people's wishes, and after the hyena king rolled on the ground for a while, he stood up tremblingly again. One eye's become a blood hole, and blood is still oozing out, which looks very scary. Damn it, it's all like this, he's still not dead? Fake. I won't play anymore, Jason said, and threw the hunting lion in his hand directly to the ground. The moment Jason's blood-stained lion hunt fell to the ground, the hyena king finally couldn't hold on and fell to the ground. Jason stared at the hyena king for several seconds, and after confirming that it was out of breath, he took a deep breath and sat down on the ground. As soon as the hyena king died, those who besieged Galati, all the hyenas were killed until the Hosens dispersed. Little Lord, Galati saw that Jason seemed to be seriously injured and ran to Jason's side quickly, ignoring the blood on his face. How about you, young master? You're amazing, just killed this B-level hyena. Marty came to Jason and said, Didn't you see that my arm is bleeding nonstop? Why don't you keep asking me what's wrong? Why don't you find a way to stop the bleeding? Jason rolled his eyes at the two of them and said, Let me come. As said, Villian walked over, pulled the corner of her skirt and melted it with the dagger in her hand, tore off a strip of cloth and bandaged it for Jason. After another piece of Walian's short skirt was torn off, it was already extremely short. Almost 2/3 of her snow-white thighs were exposed, plus where she was still squatting, it seemed that the secret place was about to be exposed. Marty couldn't help drooling when he saw it, and stared straight at Villian. It wasn't until Galati glared at him that he swallowed and turned his head to the side. Jason also noticed this, and he waved his hands to Galati and Marty and said, Okay, if you two have nothing to do, hurry up and collect all the beast crystals. Bar. Okay, let's talk. Marty and Galati went back to collect the angry beast crystals one by one from the hyenas who had anger and were killed by them. Jason's face turned pale from bleeding too much, and he had no strength left. Even if Wei Lian, the charming little lowly, was bandaging him, he didn't have the heart to pay attention to her anymore. After a while, Wei Lian bandaged Jason. Wei Lian also playfully tied a beautiful bow for Jason. Okay. Wei Lian clapped her hands in satisfaction and stood up. At this time, Galati and Marty had already collected all the beast crystals, more than a dozen. There are 6 D levels and 5 C levels. We've made a fortune this time. Huh. Marty pointed at the number and said to Jason, There is also a B-grade one here. Galati also extracted the beast crystal of the hyena king and brought it over and said, Well, these should be enough for all of you to increase the thickness of your anger. You can use it to upgrade. As Jason said, he only took the B-level beast crystal. What? Young master, do you want to leave all this to us to increase the thickness of our anger? Marty asked Jason in disbelief. Of course, can I still lie to you? Hurry up and absorb all of this. Jason said, Jason knows that if he wants to gain a foothold in this world, it is not enough to make himself stronger alone. He also needs some powerful helpers. Now is a good time to buy people's hearts. Then we're welcome. As Wei Lian said, she directly took 2 C-rank beast crystals and absorbed them directly. Because her father has never supported her to become an anger master, nor has he given her the resources to advance to the next stage, her anger is still quite weak now. After absorbing 2 C-level anger beast crystals, Wei Lian's anger is several times stronger than that. Now, there are upgradable units. Do you want to help him upgrade? The moment Villian reached the full level, the system suddenly said in Jason's mind, What? Can you help others upgrade? Yes. When Jason heard this, he said to the system without hesitation, The target upgrade level is C-level, and a C-level anger crystal is needed as an introduction to upgrade. The success rate is 80%. The system's voice sounded again, responding to Jason. Marty, give me a C-rank anger crystal. Jason shouted at Marty. Oh, Marty agreed, and handed Jason an anger crystal. Just as Jason held the C-level anger crystal in his hand, the anger crystal turned into a blue light, slowly wrapping around Villian. Faced with the sudden situation, Villian looked at Jason with questioning eyes. It's okay. You don't have to worry that I'm helping you level up. You sure don't want to be D-rank all the time, right? Jason said to Villian. But aren't all anger levels inherently incapable of being upgraded? Wei Lian asked suspiciously. But I can, Jason said to Villian with a smile. Really? Can you really help me upgrade? That's great, Villian said to Jason happily. Just as they were talking, the blue light surrounding Villian had all entered Villian's body. Target upgraded successfully. The voice of the system sounded in Jason's mind again. Come on, try it. Jason said to Villian that Jason was also anxious to see if he really had the ability to help others upgrade. If he really did, then Jason would be able to live more comfortably. Lian also couldn't wait to release her anger, wanting to see what happened. Sure enough, her anger turned blue, and Villian jumped up in excitement. Great! My anger has actually escalated. Thank you, young master, Villian said and hugged Jason directly. Wei Lian hugged Jason tightly, and the bulge on her body pressed against Jason's body, which made Jason feel a little distraught. Okay, I will help you upgrade if I have the chance in the future, and both of you. Jason pushed Villian away as he spoke. He was afraid that he would lose control if he let Villian hold him again. Young master, can you really help us upgrade? Then the two of us. Marty asked Jason with a hint of expectation. Don't worry, I will help you upgrade as long as I can. We need to get more angry crystals so that I can help you upgrade. Jason said to the two of them. Whoosh whoosh. Suddenly, several arrows shot at Jason and the others with anger. Whoosh whoosh. Suddenly, several arrows shot at Jason and the others with anger. The vigilant Galati saw it immediately. Everyone be careful, Galati shouted and quickly pressed Jason down. Villian and Marty also quickly laid down on the ground, letting the arrows fly past their scalps. What's going on? Jason yelled in horror. No matter who they are, they must come from bad people. Let's hide now. After talking, Galati picked up Jason and ran to the nearby forest, followed by Marty and Villian. Not long after Jason left, more than a dozen people in black armor came. I told you that you're not allowed to shoot arrows. If you insist on not stopping, you will all run away after shooting. A man in the lead scolded the others. Didn't we want them to waste those angry beast crystals? Besides, they have just finished fighting the group of hyenas one by one, and they're all scarred. They can't run away. Don't worry, big brother. Let's go, said the person next to him. Okay, don't write any ink here. Let's hurry up and chase it. This time, the employer is not easy to mess with. If it goes wrong, I don't know how he will deal with us. As he spoke, the leading man pulled out the sword at his waist, put his head on, and ran towards the forest Jason and the others had entered. The other half, Jason, and the others had already run into the depths of the forest. They stopped when they saw that there was no movement behind them. Damn it, why are we running away? Can't we just fight them whoever they are? Besides, once the young master reveals his identity, who else dares to touch us? Marty sat down on the ground and said, Okay, you see, people just shoot us with bows and arrows. Obviously, they won't be afraid of us. And with so many arrows shot in an instant, it's obvious that the number of people is at least 10. If they don't run away from us just now, a few of them are probably dead by now. Galati said to Marty. Okay, are you right? Maddie said with a blank look at Galati. Galati is right, not wrong. We are all scarred up to now, and if we continue to fight, we might die somewhere. Jason dissuaded the two of them from continuing to argue. What shall we do now? Villian asked. Let's rest here now. We don't know the details of the opponent yet, so we can't fight them, Matakarad. You two quickly absorb those angry beast crystals, increase your anger, and improve the combat effectiveness of the few of us. It will come in handy in case you have to fight against those people, and I can also help one of you two upgrade to a lower level now, Jason said. Give us an upgrade? What do you do, young master? Don't we just have a B-level angry beast crystal? Marty asked Jason. My arm is hurt like this now. Even if I upgrade it, it's useless. It's better to upgrade either of you. Jason said, Young master, then let Galati upgrade. After all, he has been with you for a long time, so it is more fair. Marty said to Jason that Marty was also infected by Jason's selflessness and attitude of putting the overall situation first, and he didn't argue with Galactica anymore. Having said this, Karate was no longer polite and came to stand in front of Jason. Does having goals to level up help him level up? Yes. Jason agreed without hesitation. Need to provide a B-level anger crystal. The success rate is 70%, whether to upgrade or not. Upgrade, Jason said, and took out the Angry Beast crystal that he originally wanted to save for his own upgrade. The Angry Beast crystal, exuding yellow anger, slowly turned into a streak of golden anger in Jason's hand, enveloping Galactic, and after spinning around Galactic's body for a few times, it entered Galactic's body inside the body. Update success. After success, Galactic stretched out a hand impatiently, releasing his anger, and the yellow anger gradually gathered on his palm. TSK, TSK. It's really enviable. Marty shook his head enviously. Don't worry. As long as you follow me well, one day you can too. Jason comforted Maddie. Little Lord. Galactic suddenly knelt in front of Jason. What are you doing? Jason was stunned by Galati's actions. Before, I thought the young master was lying to me about the fact that you can upgrade your anger level. I didn't expect it to be true, and it could help us upgrade. This is divine power. The young master will definitely do a lot in the future. Galati said to Jason, Of course, I only found out today that I have this ability and can help others level up. Don't worry. As long as you follow me well, I will let you become stronger with me. Jason said with a smile. By the way, you must keep this matter a secret. After all, my ability is unprecedented in the Cardeas continent. If it leaks out, it may bring me unnecessary trouble or even kill me. Jason reminded Galati and the others that Jason felt that he still didn't know much about this continent, so he felt that he should be more careful. Don't worry, young master. We will definitely not tell this matter without authorization. Everyone said to Jason in unison. You guys make it easy for us to find. Just as Jason and the others were talking happily, the group of mercenaries in black armor all came over and surrounded Jason and the others. Who are you? Jason stared at them and asked. We belong to the assassin mercenary group. Someone paid a high price to buy your life. The leader of the mercenaries said to Jason. Do you know who he is? He is the son of the king of the south, Jason Ryan. Do you dare to touch him? Marty said to the dozen or so mercenaries who surrounded them. Of course, our target is him. The leader said to Marty in a strange tone. Aren't you afraid that my father will find you to help me avenge me? He will wipe out your entire mercenary group by then. Jason threatened the leader of the army. Scared? How can you not be afraid? But he won't know, because we will kill you and destroy your corpse. The mercenary leader licked the short knife in his hand while talking. If you want to touch our young master, you have to pass my test first. As he spoke, Galati drew out his saber and stood in front of Jason. And me too. As Marty spoke, he also stood side by side with Galati, holding his own axe. Villian also remained silent, took out her dagger, and stood beside Galati. It's true that one wave has not subsided, and another wave is coming. Since it doesn't make sense, let's come. Jason said as he held the hunting lion tightly with his left hand and stood up using the hunting lion on the ground. You are really a young man. My subordinates are all masters who have experienced countless battles and killed countless people. There is no way you can be our opponents. The leading mercenary said to Jason and the others with a snort. Our Star Assassination Mercenary Corps is also moral. Originally, we only killed our targets, but now that you know so much for the sake of our confidentiality, sorry, we can only deal with all of you. After the mercenary leader finished speaking, he pushed back a few steps. The dozen or so mercenaries behind him all released blue anger and attached themselves to their weapons, staring at Jason and the others fiercely. At least tell me who's going to kill me. Jason asked the mercenary leader. What's the use of knowing so much about you, a dying person? Don't listen to their nonsense. Get rid of them quickly. We have other tasks to do. The mercenary leader said to his subordinates. The dozen or so mercenaries rushed towards Jason and the others quickly after receiving the order. Let me send you to hell. Galati yelled and released his anger directly. The brand new yellow anger made everyone's eyes shine. Galati also felt the power of B-level anger, which is completely different from C-level anger. Galactica felt his hearing, vision, and other senses they have all become stronger. There's even a B-level guy? Didn't that guy say that all of them are only C-level? The mercenary leader looked at Galati in surprise and said, "Are you afraid? If you are afraid, go away quickly," Jason said, taking advantage of the situation. "Huh, afraid? A joke. The B-level anger masters killed by our star-stabbing mercenary group are more than you can eat, a B-level anger master, and it looks like it's only just a first level. Defeated, he is like chopping melons and vegetables." As the mercenary leader said, he rushed towards Galadi quickly. The leader of the mercenaries, with a dagger in each hand, attacked Galati with tricky moves. Galadi hurriedly parried. It was the first time he encountered an opponent with such tricky moves, even though he was one level higher than him. He fell into a disadvantage. The murderous aura on the head of the mercenary made Galadi feel a strong, oppressive force. "You all watch and don't interfere. I want to kill him alone," the mercenary chief said to his men excitedly. "Are you sure you want to fight me alone? I'm a B-level wrath master." Galati felt that he was completely underestimated. He clenched the sword in his hand and said to the mercenary leader with an angry expression on his face, "Haha, is that false? I hate to think that you are a noble knight who wears shiny armor wherever you go. Let me use your knight's favorite method, a one-on-one duel, get rid of you in this way. Let you die a worthy death." The mercenary leader also had an inexplicable, endless fighting spirit. There are not a few B-level anger masters he has killed by leapfrogging, so he is very confident that he can kill Galati. Just seeing Galati's knight attire made him want to humiliate Galati because he hated knights the most. "I accept your challenge," Galati said, holding the sword in his hand with both hands, laying it across in front of his body, and set up a fighting posture. "Hee. The momentum is quite strong. Look at how I tear your armor into pieces. Cut off your hands. Let you be my slave." As the mercenary leader said, he rushed towards Galati at full speed and injected blue-armed anger into his dual knives. "Bet on my dignity and the young master's trust in me. I must defeat you." As he spoke, Galati also poured yellow-armed anger into his saber and rushed towards the mercenary head. Block! With a crisp sound, the weapons of both sides collided with armed anger. After the head of the mercenary collided with Galactic, he quickly swung the double knives in his hand at Galactic. Every knife hits the vital point of Galadi, and with a sigh of relief, Galadi struggles to resist the attack of the mercenary leader. Block, 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 block. The two sides fought against each other for several rounds before they distanced themselves from each other. I have to admit that your fighting skills are really good. If I didn't have the B-level armed anger blessing, it would be really difficult to deal with you." Galati stared at the leader of the mercenary and said, "Don't make me laugh anymore. Just because you are a young boy, even your talent A-level Wrathmaster will be my opponent. Today I will show you what strength is." The mercenary leader rushed towards Galati while talking. The speed was extremely fast and even drew a blue light. Galactic stood up and closed his eyes slightly. From the moment Galactic closed his eyes, Galactic also entered a new realm. Even with his eyes closed, Galati could feel what happened within 1 meter around his body. Boom! With a sound, Galati blocked the knife that the mercenary leader suddenly shifted his target and slashed at his waist with the sword in his hand. Throwing back at the head of the mercenary was a blow to the face. The mercenary leader was a little surprised to avoid the attack from Galactic with his eyes closed, and used 2 consecutive backflips to distance himself from Galactic. "Yes, you can still sense anger. Well, not bad. You are worthy of being my opponent." The mercenary leader looked at Galati and nodded, and licked his dagger while talking. "I'm not going to be defeated so easily." Galati danced the sword in her hand, opened her eyes, and said to the mercenary leader, "I'll let you take advantage of it. And you start to get nervous? You will suffer later." The mercenary leader said strangely to Galati, "Come on, I can't wait to beat you," Galati said, holding his saber and rushing towards the mercenary leader. The mercenary leader stood still, with an expression of indifference. Galati quickly rushed to the side of the mercenary leader and stabbed him in the side. The mercenary leader. Block! The mercenary leader lightly used his two knives to block Galati's attack. Your speed is really slow. Just like an old lady, I can still guess what move you're going to make without feeling angry. After more than a dozen rounds, Galati also gradually became familiar with the B-level armed anger and began to be able to parry the mercenary's head-on attacks. This kid didn't disappoint me. Jason sat down on the ground, looking at the fighting Galactico with relief. Block, 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 block. Galati and the mercenary leader fought for a few more rounds. It was the first time for Galati to experience such a high-intensity, life-and-death battle in a split second. After only a few rounds, he felt a little exhausted. He bent over, gasping for breath. His silver hair was already wet with sweat. The mercenary leader wielded the dagger in Wu's hand, stared at Galati with a smile, and said, "Now you know the difference between you and me? For me, I have just warmed up, but you are about to die." "Who?" Galati took a deep breath and stood up straight, said to the mercenary leader, "Have you not warmed up yet? Then you better hurry up. Maybe I will kill you in a few rounds." The mercenary leader tilted his head and stared at Galati disdainfully after listening to Galati's words, and said, "Having confidence is a good thing, but blind self-confidence is not simply a good thing." After all, the leader of the mercenaries rushed towards Galati at a brisk pace. Galati also immediately adjusted his stance to prepare for the battle. In the blink of an eye, the mercenary had already arrived at Galati's side, and he slashed across the door of Galati's face. Galati quickly took a step back, dodging the attack of the mercenary leader. Following the momentum of the knife, the mercenary leader turned his body 180 degrees and stabbed the short knife in the other hand towards Galati. Galati immediately raised his sword and blocked the dagger on the head of the mercenary with a bang. Boom! With a bang, the weapons of the two collided with each other with armed anger, sending out a burst of dazzling sparks. The mercenary leader gave a faint smile, kicked back, and kicked Galati. Galati didn't expect that the mercenary leader would make such a move, and he didn't rush to defend for a while. He could only watch helplessly as the foot of the mercenary head with armed anger stepped heavily on his chest. Boom! Boom! Galati was kicked hard by this kick, smashed a small tree, and fell to the ground. But fortunately, Galati has heavy armor on his body, and his armed anger is a level higher than that of the mercenary leader. It is barely a problem, but Galati, who is lacking in physical strength, is almost unable to stand up. He supported his body with the saber in his hand and struggled to stand up again. He stood up, but his legs were visibly shaking constantly. Marty was anxious to death when he saw Galadem like this, and said to Jason, "Young master, it seems that you and I have misjudged the person. This Galadem is going to be unbearable now." Jason glanced at Galati, although he was also very anxious, but he didn't show it on his face. He still said to Marty calmly, "Don't worry, it's too early to say anything. Isn't Galati not yet? Are you down?" As soon as Jason finished speaking, the head of the mercenary rushed over and slashed at Galati. Galati immediately raised the saber in his hand and blocked the menacing knife from the head of the mercenary with a bang. The mercenary leader stared at Galati with a chuckle, raised his hand and used the knife in the other hand, and pointed at Galati's sword. With this blow, Galati's saber was directly thrown out, and the backhand stabbed Galati's chest with a knife. Galati immediately used the yellow-armed rage to protect his body. He already had armor body protection and armed rage blessing, which blocked the mercenary leader's dagger abruptly. The mercenary leader saw that his dagger could not penetrate, so he immediately used the dagger in the other hand to slash at Galati's neck. Galati immediately raised his arm and blocked another knife on the head of the mercenary with armed anger. The mercenary looked up and saw that his attack had been dispelled, and he directly raised his knees to push against Galati's abdomen with all his strength. Galati, whose physical strength was exhausted, didn't notice the movement of the mercenary leader at all and swallowed the impact abruptly. There was a strong pain in the abdomen, like the last straw that crushed the camel's camel, making Galady unable to hold on for an instant, and fell heavily on the ground. The mercenary leader directly stepped on Galady's face, scanning the surrounding people triumphantly. Those of his subordinates also shouted out of face. Boss is mighty. He actually defeated an enemy one level higher than himself. Boss is mighty. The mercenary chief had a smile on his face, wanting to enjoy the moment. Some people were happy and some were sad. Just as the mercenaries were cheering happily, Jason and the three of them were all pale. Especially Wileen, when she saw her brother being knocked down and trampled under her feet like this, she anxiously shouted at the mercenary leader, "You bastard! Get your dirty feet off my brother's face quickly! Open!" As Wileen said, she wanted to rush over. Jason immediately asked Marty to hold Villian. Jason knew that since Galady, who had been promoted to be level, was easily killed by this guy, let alone a few of them, they would not pose a threat to others at all. Marty also couldn't raise his fighting spirit against the mercenary leader. He could feel that he was not his opponent at all. Although they're all people who have been around for a long time, this mercenary is not at the same level as Marty, a bandit who specializes in soft persimmons, and cannot be compared at all. Jason looked as if he was doomed. Facing a dozen murderous mercenaries, the possibility of him escaping was almost zero. Why is my life so hard? I can't live a good life, even after time travel, alas. Jason sighed secretly. The mercenary leader stepped on Galady's body and approached Jason, smiled, and said to Jason, "I'm sorry, little master." Marty and Villian saw the mercenary leader approaching them, and both clenched their weapons and stared at him vigilantly. The mercenary leader glanced at them and ignored them. Since the two of them were focused on the mercenary leader, they didn't notice that several mercenaries had already touched their backs and directly subdued the two of them with one move and pushed them to the ground. "Kill them," the mercenary leader said to his subordinates coldly. Yes, several mercenaries agreed, raised their weapons, and swung them down to find out the lives of Marty and Villian. At this moment, an adult lioness rushed out and knocked down the mercenary who was controlling Villian. After the mercenary who controlled Villian was thrown down, the other mercenaries didn't know where to whoosh before they could react. With a bang, a long bamboo pole with yellow-armed anger flew out. Like a sharp arrow, it directly pierced the throats of the two mercenaries who were controlling Marty and strung them together like a string. Seeing this situation, the mercenary leader was shocked. Who? An old man with gray hair and sloppy face slowly fell from a big tree. Pulling out the bamboo pole that penetrated the throats of the two mercenaries, he smiled and said to the mercenary leader, I'm sorry. I just like fighting injustice. I'm afraid I'm going to disturb your good business today." While the old man was speaking, the lioness had already bit off the throat of the mercenary who was thrown down by it, and came to the old man's side, licking the blood from his mouth. "I don't know where I provoked you. Why did you disturb my situation?" The mercenary leader stared at the old man and said. Although the old man already looked old, he had an aura of calm and prestige, and he knew at a glance that it was not easy to deal with. All the leaders of the mercenaries were also extra cautious. The old man glanced at Wei Lian, who got up from the ground, and said to the mercenary leader, "It's nothing. I just think this little girl is cute, and I can't bear her to be bullied by you. So I shot." The mercenary leader laughed after hearing this, and said to the old man, "This is not simple. Since you like it, we will just give her to you. She is not our real target, so it doesn't matter." The old man touched the head of the lion beside him. The lion was like a cat, enjoying the old man's caress with a comfortable face. The conversation between the mercenary leader and the old man made Jason's heart ache. He didn't want to see Villian taken away by the old man. Jason stood up slowly and said to the old man, "Old man, I am the son of Don Ryan, the king of the southern border. Jason Ryan, if you save us today, I will definitely repay you." Jason tried to bribe the old man in this way. "Oh, let me tell you, why is this group of mercenaries in such a big battle? It turns out that there are big shots. How is your father doing well now? Is he still often deceived by his ambitious brother?" After listening to Jason's words, the old man talked to Jason with great interest. "Do you know my father, sir?" Jason asked the old man. The old man smiled and said to Jason, "How could I not recognize your father? I taught him how to hold a sword, how to make himself stronger, and how to defeat the enemy in front of him. It's a pity that your father is too kind. If you insist on keeping that guy, Bud, by your side, sooner or later he will be bitten by Bud, and it will be too late for him to regret it. How long are you guys going to chat? Don't you think too much of our star-stabbing mercenary group?" The mercenary leader said angrily. The old man said to the mercenary leader after squinting at him, "Why haven't you left yet? If you don't leave, I might let you all die here." The old man's tone of voice was very peaceful, but there was endless killing intent in his eyes, which was slowly accumulated from years of fighting. The leader of the mercenary was not a good person, and he didn't mean to back down in the slightest. He came up to the old man and said, "I said, if you want, we can let you take this girl away. Otherwise, we will take this girl away. I have no choice but to kill you." The mercenary leader turned the double knives in his hands while talking. The lion beside the old man felt the murderous intent of the mercenary leader, opened his bloody mouth, and roared at him. The old man sighed and said, "In my whole life, there have been thousands, if not tens of thousands of people who have told me that. Unfortunately, no one has succeeded. I think you will be no exception." The old man swung the bamboo pole in his hand and pointed it at the head of the mercenary. The mercenary leader glanced at the bamboo pole in the old man's hand and said with a sneer, "Which one are you going to use to fight me? My knife is very sharp. Don't say I bully you if you lose." The old man laughed and said, "To deal with you, this is enough. Go to hell," the mercenary leader said and rushed towards the old man. The old man's eyes suddenly became sharp, and the bamboo pole in Awu's hand was ready to greet the mercenary leader. While running, the leader of the mercenary poured his armed anger into his two knives and slashed at the old man. The old man swung the bamboo pole in his hand, attached the yellow armed anger to it, and stood it up next to him to block the mercenary leader's knife. Even though the old man was holding a bamboo pole, it became extremely hard due to the blessing of the old man's powerful arms and anger. It easily blocked the short knife on the head of the mercenary. The mercenary leader shouted angrily, turned sideways, and used all his strength to strike at the old man from bottom to top with the short knife in the other hand. The old man casually blocked the short knife on the mercenary's head with the bamboo pole in his hand, but this time the ending was different. The bamboo pole in the old man's hand was cut in half with a bang. The old man pushed back a step and let the mercenary's short knife scratch the tip of his nose. Jason was also sweating for the old man. Seeing the old man's bamboo pole being cut off, his heart skipped a beat. "Old man, you can use my sword," Jason shouted at the old man. The old man looked back at Jason casually and said, "You should keep it for yourself. I don't need it." "Haha, old man, you are too confident. I will cut off your neck like your bamboo pole with the next knife," the mercenary leader said to the old man. The old man took a piece of bamboo pole in one hand and said to the mercenary leader, "Child, don't think too much. I did this on purpose." "On purpose? I'll see what you say after I cut off your neck." After the mercenary leader finished speaking, he rushed towards the old man directly. Watch my gorgeous performance." After the old man finished speaking, he rushed towards the head of the mercenary at a faster speed, like an arrow leaving the string. Before the mercenary leader could react, the old man hit him in the waist with a bamboo pole. After all, their anger is still a level behind. Even if the mercenary head has an armed anger shield, he grinned straight after being hit by this bamboo pole. Cut off. But the old man could not see through his moves at all. He turned slightly sideways and avoided the attack of the mercenary leader. He used his backhand to hit the mercenary with a bamboo pole at a faster speed. Armed with anger, the old man's bamboo pole hit the arm of the mercenary leader, and the mercenary leader felt his arm go numb for a moment. He gritted his teeth and persisted so as not to let the dagger in his hand drop. Unexpectedly, the old man knocked a bamboo pole on his arm at the speed of light. When the bamboo pole went down, it was directly accompanied by a click and the sound of bones breaking. The mercenary screamed. The arm lost all feeling in an instant, and it drooped down like boneless meat, and the knife in his hand fell to the ground. The surrounding mercenaries saw that the situation was not right, and rushed over fiercely one by one. The old man didn't take them seriously at all, and the bamboo pole in his hand was flying around, crackling. Simply put more than a dozen mercenaries to the ground. Jason looked at the handsome and unrestrained figure of the old man, just like seeing Monkey King on TV for the first time when he was a child. That envy and admiration. It's like a torrential river flowing continuously. The head of the mercenaries saw that his people had already fallen, but he still refused to admit defeat because he knew that if their mission failed this time, they would be doomed if they went back. Fight to the death. The head of the mercenary clenched the dagger in his left hand and was ready to swing it away at the old man. Who would have thought that the old man had already noticed that the lion beside the old man directly bit the head of the mercenary's arm and flung the head of the mercenary away with all his strength. Far away, with the arm of the mercenary leader dangling from his mouth, the scene was extremely bloody. Jason and the others couldn't help closing their eyes. Hearing the heart-piercing shouts of the mercenary leader, everyone was horrified. After a long time, Jason heard no movement and then slowly opened his eyes. He saw the head of the mercenary laying on the ground with blood and flesh, and Marty had already gone over to help Galati over. Jason looked at the extremely weak Galati and asked, "Your boy, are you all right?" Galati, who was being supported by Marty, looked at Jason with guilt and said, "I'm sorry, young master." Jason smiled and patted Galati on the shoulder to comfort him. "It's okay. Don't worry about it. You've done a good job." Knowing that Jason was just comforting himself, Galati lowered his head in shame. "Are you still running away? If you don't leave, I'm not sure that my pet won't eat you as snacks because of hunger," the old man said to the mercenaries with a smile. The old man's lion also seemed to understand the old man's words and howled angrily at the mercenaries. Some mercenaries who were still able to move hurriedly helped each other to prepare to escape, and the leader of the mercenaries was also supported by 2 mercenaries. After the mercenary raised his head, he stared at the old man viciously and said, "Just wait for me, and one day I will make you pay back 100 times. Hearing this, the old man smiled lightly and said, "You can't make me wait too long. My old bones might die one day. You'd better hurry up if you want revenge." The mercenary leader wanted to say something else, but his subordinates were afraid that the old man would repent and let them go, so they hurriedly carried the mercenary leader and fled here. As soon as the mercenaries left, the old man looked around and made sure they were far away. He immediately hammered his waist and said with a distressed expression, "Oh, my old waist. It hurts me to death." Jason watched the old man look around, thinking that he still wanted to make some big moves, but he didn't expect it to be a backache, and he didn't want the mercenaries to know. Galati stared at the old man carefully for a while and asked, "Could it be that the old man is Lord Kirinith, nicknamed Cat Viper? Oh, do you recognize me?" The old man turned his head and stared at Galati and asked. After listening to the old man's words, Galati knew that the old man had admitted it indirectly and said excitedly, "Master Kirinith, I'm Galati. My father is Martin Owen. I remember when I was a child, you still came to my house going to visit. Have you forgotten?" The old man suddenly realized what he said after hearing what Galati said. "It's you, kid? You have a good memory. I just saw me when I was wearing crotch pants, since I can remember it till now." Galati smiled and said to Kirinith, "Of course my father often mentioned you. Back then, you only relied on your B-level anger and a fine steel sword to break the former king's 3 A's. The heroic story of the super follower has been with me throughout my childhood. Is this old man so powerful?" Jason asked Galati in a low voice. Kirinith, nicknamed Cat Viper, he was a well-known combat master in the Cardeas continent when he was young. He has the most exquisite combat skills in the entire continent. There are countless A-level anger masters who have leapfrogged and killed. There are many famous people who were once his apprentices, such as your father. Galati seriously explained the legendary story of Cat Viper to Jason. Such a powerful person. Jason couldn't help sighing, thinking in his heart, such a powerful person, according to the usual routine, should be my master. After chatting for a while, Kirinith and Galati looked at the sky and saw that the sun was already setting. Cat Viper said to Jason and the others. Okay, it's getting late, and there is a bloody smell here again. I believe it won't be long before the hyenas will follow the smell and find this place. The hyenas at night are very scary. It is almost one of the strongest beasts outside the Zor Mountains. Hurry up and leave as soon as it is dawn. Lord Kyle Nance, please accept me as your apprentice. I want to become as strong as you. After Jason knew the details of Corinne Nance, he waited for an opportunity to learn from him. Seeing that he left, he was afraid that there would be no chance for a while. So he came to Kieran inside and said to him without hesitation. Corinne Nance stared at Jason for a long time, but didn't speak. What do you mean, my lord? Jason asked Kyle Nance, puzzled. I don't want to accept you as an apprentice. After teaching your father, I have decided not to accept any apprentices. Kyle Nance said without giving Jason any face, and even looked disgusted. Jason looked at Kyle Nance's disgusted look and was deeply shocked. This strategy is obviously wrong. I have the ability to upgrade my natural anger level. If I have your skills, I will reach the peak of Cardeas continent in time. In time, I will definitely climb to the top of the Cardeas continent. Jason said to Kyle Nance, wanting to impress him and ask him to accept him as a disciple. Do you have the ability to upgrade your talent's anger level? Kieran asked Jason, frowning. Cality immediately took over and said, Yes, my young master has this amazing ability. I can testify to this. Kelly Nance waved his hands at Jason and his party and said with disbelief, Do you think I'm old and stupid? Are you here to fool me? Anger levels are brought out from the mother's womb. I have lived for more than years, and I have never heard of such an ability. Seeing Kirianth's obvious disbelief, Jason said anxiously to him, What I said is true. Killinans didn't wait for Jason to finish. He interrupted Jason's words and said, Okay, don't explain to me. If you really have that kind of ability, you can upgrade yourself to B level before looking for it. Me, I'm going to have a terrible backache. I don't want to chat with you guys anymore. You go back quickly. After Kirianth finished speaking, he rode on the lion and drove away. Seeing that they had already left, Jason had no choice but to give up. They were all bruised, and naturally they knew that this place was not suitable to stay for a long time. So they left quickly. The four supported each other. Looking extra embarrassed, Jason glanced at the appearance of the crowd, couldn't help laughing and said, Look at us. We are really down and out, coming here in such a strong manner and going back in such a miserable way. You can't say that. After all, we still have some gains. Marty said as he took out the remaining 5 or 6 D-grade anger crystals. While Ian also echoed, Yes, and I was upgraded to C level, and my brother was also upgraded to B level. These are not small gains. After listening to Walian's words, Jason nodded with a smile and said with a smile, Yes, this time we will be blessed if we survive catastrophe. I believe we will get better and better. Yes. Everyone nodded to Jason and agreed. The next step is to find a way to upgrade myself to B level, and then let this cat viper believe in my ability and accept me as an apprentice. Jason has already planned his short-term goals. The young master has such an amazing ability to be a man of heaven. If he can worship the cat viper as his teacher again, the young master's strength will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. Maybe he will be the next S-level anger master. Garati said to Jason said. Hearing Gallaty's flattery, Jason was also agitated for a while. He laughed and said, What is maybe? It's definitely a certainty, okay? What the young master said is true. Galactic responded to Jason. After so many things, Galactic planned to follow Jason with all his heart. He saw a bright future from Jason. Jason looked at the crowd and said earnestly, But don't worry, I will let you become stronger with me, and I will live and die with you in the future. No matter what happens in the future, as long as you are loyal to me, what you have is mine. Confident, Jason's words were very helpful to everyone, and they said to Jason in unison, We are willing to follow the young master to the death. Jason looked at them and nodded in satisfaction and said, Don't keep talking about whether you are dead or not. I think our good days are coming soon. Jason then asked Galate, By the way, why is Kelly Nance's nickname Cat Viper? Oh, you were talking about this. This nickname has an origin because when Lord Kellenance was young, he was quite gentle when he was not fighting, just like a cat, but as long as he was engaged in battle, he will be like a snake, vicious and scary. So people who are familiar with Lord Kellenance say that he is a cat with a venomous snake hidden in his belly, so he is called the cat viper. Karate explained to Jason. Jason smiled and said, "It's really well-founded. In fact, it was the author who blatantly copied a character from a well-known anime." Jason and his party walked and chatted. At this time, in a certain secret room in the Sago's castle, the rest of the Starbone mercenary group who had just escaped from Zorn Mountain were all facing Kylida. All of them looked extremely nervous. Kylida, who was sitting there, ate a grape gracefully and said to everyone in the Thorn Star mercenary group, "You actually missed? I am really disappointed." The leader of the Thorn Star mercenary group heard Kelyda's words and explained to Kelyda extremely nervously, "Sir, we were already about to succeed, but an old man appeared out of nowhere with a lion, causing confusion. I have done our good deed, and I ask you to make amends." The mercenary leader knew that he and his brothers were likely to die here, but he still wanted to try his best to survive. "Oh, you mean that you have already succeeded, and then an expert from outside the world appeared and put a dozen of you on the ground? He also unloaded one of you and interrupted one to make you became this pitiful look?" Kylida seemed sympathetic and said to the mercenary leader. Feeling the endless humiliation, the mercenary leader silently lowered his head and answered Kylida, "That's right." Seeing their tense faces, Kylida chuckled and said to them, "Why are you so nervous? Relax." Kylida waved to the entourage behind him as he spoke. The attendant immediately understood what Kylida meant, turned around and took out a small box of gold coins, opened it, and placed it in front of the mercenaries. The mercenary leader looked at the box full of golden coins and said to Kylida, "Sir, what are you doing? Take it, your reward." Kylida motioned to his attendant to place the box of gold coins on the ground. The mercenary leader was a little flattered and asked Kylida, "Sir, is what you said true? We didn't complete the task, and you rewarded us instead of punishing us. Why is that?" Kylida stared at the mercenary leader with a harmless face and said, "You are already like this now. It will be difficult to do anything in the future, and these will allow you to live a good life." The mercenary leader thanked Kylida excitedly when he heard this. "Thank you, sir. I will never forget your kindness to us." After all, the mercenary leader signaled one of his men to go down and bring the box of gold coins over. "Wait a minute. Are you looking down on me? You actually let a young man come to take the reward I gave you," Kylida said to the mercenary leader, a little unhappy. The mercenary leader was stunned after hearing Karadi's words. He realized that this matter was not that simple. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, he cautiously asked Kylida, "Isn't it inconvenient for me, my lord?" After finishing speaking, the mercenary waved his broken arm. Kylida glanced at him and said with a cold tone, "Inconvenient? What's the inconvenience? Don't you still have a mouth? Use your mouth to hold it." "You." The mercenary leader pointed at Kylida angrily. Song, the entourage behind Kylida, directly pulled out his saber and said to the mercenary leader, "Pay attention to the tone of your speech to Lord Garati, you trash." The movement of Kylida's entourage directly activated the whole body, and the other mercenaries drew out their weapons to protect their leaders. It can be seen that they are also loyal enough. But Kylida was also prepared, smiled, and gently snapped her fingers. More than 20 armored soldiers with crossbows rushed out of the surrounding area and aimed at the mercenaries. The crossbows in their hands are super lethal weapons. One crossbow can even kill an elephant. The only disadvantage is that it is too difficult to wind the string. It needs tools and enough strength just do. I spent a lot of money to build this batch of crossbows. Even if they have bevel armed anger protection, they will be pierced by a single crossbow. Do you want to try it? Kylida crossed her legs and knocked on the table gently and rhythmically. Seeing this posture, the leader of the mercenaries knew that if they fought, they would not be able to take advantage of it, and they would probably be killed in one wave. So they said to their own people, "Everyone put away your weapons, Mr. Kylida. If you didn't complete the task, I'm here to apologize to you. Forget about your reward. We don't want it. And please let us go. Haha. A group of people who regard money as their life choose not to have money. It's really strange. Kylida said to the mercenaries with a smile. Kelly Dutton paused and continued. But this meeting is not something you can choose. You have to take it if you want it, and you have to take it if you don't want it. As soon as Kylida finished speaking, 4 or 5 soldiers pulled the crossbow in their hands. Pum pum pum. The crossbows in the hands of the soldiers made a loud noise, and the bolts of the crossbows, like large caliber bullets, directly penetrated the chests of the mercenaries, and they fell to the ground and lost their lives in an instant. The mercenary leader looked at his subordinates who were ruthlessly killed like this, and felt a pang of heartache. These were brothers who had accompanied him through life and death for a long time, and they were killed like this. Kylida continued to sneer and said to the mercenary leader, "Are you holding it or not?" As soon as Kylida finished speaking, the soldiers who had not used the crossbows in their hands had already aimed at the remaining mercenaries. "I'll get it! I'll get it!" The mercenary leader gritted his teeth helplessly and said that he had no choice but to keep his brothers alive. Kylida urged the mercenary leader with a playful look. "Then please hurry up. I'm still busy." Gritting his teeth, the mercenary leader walked slowly to the box of gold coins, ready to lower his head and grab them with his mouth. At this moment, he had no dignity at all. Just as the mercenary leader's mouth slowly approached the box, Kylida suddenly changed his expression, waved his hand, and said, "That's enough. That's enough. I'm tired of playing and have no interest in it anymore. Kill them." After that, he left with his entourage in a chic manner. All the mercenaries haven't reacted yet. Pung, pung, pung. A dozen crossbow arrows were fired at once, turning them into a pile of corpses in an instant. "Is that Jason guy back?" Kylida asked several followers around him while walking. "My lord, he has returned, but one arm seems to be hurt, so he must be receiving treatment now." A follower restores Kylida Dow. "This guy's luck is really good." Kylida sighed. "My lord, should we take advantage of his illness to kill him now?" One of Kylida's followers whispered to Kylida, "Now that he is in Sagos, if something goes wrong, I will definitely be responsible. We still have to think of other ways." Kylida said. The entourage immediately echoed. "Your Excellency's words are very true. I didn't think carefully. By the way, send someone to investigate. What kind of sacred place is hidden in the Zorn Mountains? And it actually saved the life of Jason's second idiot. It doesn't seem like a lie to see what the assassin mercenary group said." Kylida changed his style of painting and said to his followers, "Yes, my little one, I'll send someone to investigate." The follower said, "Where's my second idiot cousin now? Let me go and see this cousin of mine." Kylida asked his entourage. The attendant did not dare to neglect and said quickly, "I will take you there right now. Lighten up, lighten up, In the room of the noble doctor in Sargo's castle, Jason's shouts were heard. The sound was so loud that it could be heard half a mile away. An old doctor in the house is stitching up Jason's wound bitten by the hyena king with a needle and thread. Since Jason's injury was more urgent, and the old doctor happened to be out of anesthesia, he had no choice but to sew it up directly, so Jason was in pain and screamed nonstop. Jason was in pain and was sweating profusely. He grinned and said to the old doctor, "Doctor, you only need 2 stitches. Why do you have to sew the stitches so densely? You have already done 3 or 4 stitches. The needle is done. Why is there still not half of it?" The old doctor was obviously irritated by Jason's chatter and said to Jason in an anxious tone, "My lord, your injury should not be underestimated. If it is not treated properly, it will easily leave the root cause of the disease." "Okay, then hurry up," Jason shouted to relieve the pain. Just as Jason was yelling, Kylida walked in with 2 of his followers. After Kylida came in, he immediately pretended to come to Jason's side and asked Jason, "Jason, are you okay? I mentioned that you were injured, so I quickly put down what I was doing and rushed over." Seeing Kylida, Jason immediately pretended to be relaxed and said to Kylida, "It's nothing. It's just a bite, brother. Don't worry. It's fine as long as it's fine. Next time, You can't be so careless. If something happens to you, how will you ask me to explain to Uncle? Kylida said with a serious expression. Jason looked at Kylida's appearance and secretly admired Kylida's good acting skills. It would be a pity not to become an actor. Jason smiled and said to Kylida with a pun, "Don't worry, brother, I will take care of myself. I will live a good life and continue to cause trouble for you." When Jason said the word cause trouble, he deliberately emphasized his tone. Kylida's face suddenly darkened after hearing Jason's words, looked at Jason and said, "My dear brother, what do you mean by that?" Jason also met Kylida's eyes, and the scene looked like love for a while. The scene was extremely cold for a while. Jason suddenly screamed loudly, breaking the embarrassing situation. "Take it easy," Jason said to the old doctor who was still stitching up his wound. Kylida didn't want to chat with Jason anymore and turned around with his entourage to leave. Seeing that Kylida was about to leave, Jason, whose face was distorted in pain, immediately said to him, "Don't worry, bro. I also want to ask, when will you officially give me the position of Deputy City Lord? Heal your injury first, and I will understand and arrange it for you when you recover from your injury." After finishing speaking, Kylida left with his entourage. This guy with a human face and a beast's heart. Jason changed his expression immediately after Kylida left. Marty saw that Jason didn't seem to like Kylida very much, so he asked Jason, "Master, why don't you seem to like your cousin very much?" Jason was about to tell the reason, when he suddenly saw that the doctor was still there and gave the doctor a meaningful look. The old doctor also quickly fixed it for Jason very tactfully and said to Jason, "Young master, I have already fixed it for you. If you talk, I will go out first." Jason nodded to the doctor and said, "Well, thank you for your hard work." After the doctor left, Jason began to talk. "This Khalida is not a good thing. In order to secure his position as the future king of the southern region, he has been trying to get rid of me. I guess that we were assassinated by the mercenary group this time was also instructed by him." Jason said to Marty in a positive tone, "In this case, why did you come to Sagos, young master? Isn't this deliberately giving him a chance to hurt you?" Villian blinked her big eyes. Her long eyelashes were flickering. She was very pretty, and she was a little carried away when she saw Jason. Villian watched Jason, watching her silent for a long time, and couldn't help but look at Jason frowning suspiciously. Jason just came to his senses at this time, smiled awkwardly, and said, "Haha, that's like this. I didn't intend to compete with him for the position of the king of the southern region before, but he actually harmed me time and time again, making me I have changed my mind. The position of king of the southern territory I must now, and I also want to regain the position of Sago City Lord that should belong to me now." Jason told everyone what was on his mind right now. "Young master, don't worry. I will definitely help you take back everything that should belong to you," Garati said to Jason. Marty echoed from the side, "Me too." Wylian also stood up and clenched her fists and said to Jason, "I am also willing to defend the young master to the death and do my part for the young master." Marty said sullenly, "Me too. I believe that the young lord will definitely be the future king of the southern border." Galati said, "Me too." Marty echoed. After being speechless for a while, Jason said earnestly to Marty, "Marty, did you see that? This is the power of knowledge. It is terrible to be uneducated. When others are talking boldly, you can only talk about me." "Same. Haha." Matty scratched his head and laughed awkwardly after listening to Jason's words. "The young master has seen all this. I really don't know what to say, ha." After hearing Marty's words, everyone couldn't help laughing out loud. After everyone sorted out their injuries, Jason was too bored in the castle, so he took Korati and 3 other people out of the castle. Coming to the streets of Sagos, Jason also wanted to take this opportunity to sell the remaining D-rank beast crystals that were useless to them and exchange them for some gold coins. Although Jason has just arrived in this world, he knows a truth, that is, no matter which world he is in, money must be very useful. The gold coins he brought from Zorn City have long been spent, and now there is not a single penny left. After a few people left the castle, they ran directly to the largest trading house in Sagos and exchanged all the extra Durang beast crystals for gold coins, a total of more than 30 coins, although not many, but not too much. Not much, enough for 3 or 4 people to eat big fish and meat for several meals. After Jason and the others left the trading firm, they wandered around the street when they had nothing to do. Suddenly, the cries and beatings from a house not far away attracted the attention of Jason and the others. Jason heard women crying and some men beating and scolding from inside the house. He frowned and said, "Is the law and order in Sagos so unbearable? In broad daylight, let's go. Let's go and see." After Jason finished speaking, he took the lead and walked to the house with Galati and others. As soon as Jason and the others reached the door of the house, they were stopped by 2 soldiers in armor. "Stop! Who are you guys? We are enforcing the law here. Go away." Both soldiers held their sabers and glared angrily at Jason and his party. "Presumptuous!" As he spoke, Galati pulled out his saber with a loud bang, pointed at the 2 soldiers and said, "Do you know who this is? He's uttering such wild words." Galati's words frightened the 2 soldiers to murmur, and they looked at Jason carefully. A soldier looked at Jason's appearance, saw Jason's saber, suddenly thought of something, and immediately knelt down. "I have seen the deputy city lord." Jason raised his hand and said to the soldier, "Okay, get up. What are you doing?" The soldier stood up and said to Jason, "My lord, the deputy city lord, this family has not paid taxes this month. We are here to collect taxes forcibly." After hearing this, Jason nodded and said, "Oh, tax collection? Huh. Wait, this month? Isn't the tax collected once a quarter? Why do you collect it once a month?" Jason frowned and asked the soldier suspiciously, "This one?" The soldier started to hesitate, not knowing what to say to Jason. Jason knew from the soldier's appearance that this matter was not that simple, and suddenly his expression became serious. "Quickly tell me, what the hell is going on?" Facing Jason's questioning, the soldier swallowed nervously, deliberately avoided Jason's eyes, lowered his head, and said nothing. Seeing him like this, Jason knew that there must be something strange in it, and pretended to be angry and said to Marty, "Marty, these guys actually changed the tax system by themselves, took it down for me, and beheaded it for public display." The soldier was completely frightened when he heard the mess here, and immediately knelt on the ground and said to Jason, "My lord, please forgive me. Please forgive me. I'm only following orders." "Following orders? I have always collected taxes on a quarterly basis in the southern border, and you actually collect them once a month. Tell me, who has the guts to instruct you to harm the people like this?" Jason said to the soldier in a stern tone, "It's Lord Kylada." Since Lord Kylada became the Lord of Sagos, he changed the rules and changed the tax that was originally collected once a quarter to once a month. The soldier said to Jason tremblingly, "I said, how can a city as big as Sagos be so sparsely populated?" It turns out that's the case. This time he caught an important handle on Kylada. Jason was not to mention how happy he was, but his face remained serious. "Go away. Let me know that you collect taxes on a monthly basis in the future, and I will never forgive you." Jason continued to speak to the soldiers. But my lord, if this is the case, we can't do business for Lord Kylada." In the hearts of the soldiers, Kylada was much more terrifying than Jason. Compared to defying Kylada, they were still willing to fight against Jason. Jason glanced at the soldier and said, "What? Master Kylada's words are good, but what I, the new deputy city lord, can't say is good." "The little one doesn't mean that. Your lord misunderstood me. I really didn't mean it. It's just that Lord Kylada is our first commander after all, so it's not easy for us." The soldier timidly spoke to Jason in a low voice until there was no sound at all. Jason also understood their difficulties and didn't want to embarrass them anymore, so he said to the soldiers in a calm tone, "Don't worry, I'll talk to Kylada." Seeing that Jason had already said that, the soldiers had no choice but to agree to Jason, and the soldiers fled here like crazy. Seeing that they had been saved, the family came to Jason, knelt down directly, and said to Jason, "Thank you for saving your life." The family of 3 kowtowed to Jason again and again. Jason hurriedly helped them up one by one and said, It's okay, it's okay. You don't have to be like this. Don't worry. Since I'm here, I will uphold justice for you, and I will never let them collect taxes indiscriminately again. Jason looked at the poor family and felt sad for a while. After all, he was also from a poor family, and he understood how difficult the life of a poor and crying family was. After chatting with the family for a while, Jason and his party left. Jason also came out of that sad mood, laughed, and said to everyone, "I didn't expect that I would catch Cardeas so soon, haha." Marty immediately said to Jason, "In this case, young master, should you tell Mr. Dawn immediately?" Of course, Kaladi hurriedly wrote a letter to my father and told him about it. Jason said happily. Galactic thought for a while and said to Jason, "Young master, I think it seems a bit too hasty for us to tell Lord Dawn now, and we don't have enough evidence, so we should collect some evidence and tell Lord Dawn more appropriate." Wei Lian also echoed and said, "Yes, if we rashly tell Lord Dawn now, won't we be embarrassed when Lord Dawn comes here to check if it's not like that?" After listening to the words of the two Owen brothers and sisters, Jason thought about it carefully and felt that it was very reasonable, nodded and said, "Yes, not bad. Your thinking seems to be very reasonable. Then let's wait a little longer." Jason looked up at the sky and continued to say to the crowd, "It's getting late today. Take a good rest tonight, and tomorrow we'll go meet Kylida for a while." Jason returned to the castle with a happy mood to rest. Jason and the others made a fatal mistake. They completely underestimated Kylida's ability in Sagos. Just when Jason and his party were complacently returning to the castle to rest, Kylida's entourage had already got the news and reported it to Kylida. When Kylida knew about it, she frowned and said, "This matter is not a trivial matter. If Dawn finds out about it, it will be a big deal." Kylida's entourage looked around for any shortcomings and said cautiously to Kylida, "Then, should we get rid of Jason all the time and throw his body into the wilderness overnight, and when Dawn asks us to just say he's missing?" Kylida thought for a long time in silence and said to his entourage, "It must be cleaned up, and his three little entourages should not be left alone." Kylida's entourage smiled slightly and said to Kylida, "Don't worry, my lord. I promise to make it beautiful for you." After hearing this, Kylida said to the follower with an expression on his face, "Vino, you are my favorite follower. If you succeed in today's matter, I will definitely reward you." Nord said to Kylida excitedly after hearing Kylida's words, "Don't worry, my lord. I will definitely fulfill my mission." Kylida nodded in satisfaction and said to Nord, "Well, let's go. I'll wait for your good news." After Kylida waited for Nord to exit his city lord's hall, the smile on his face disappeared instantly and became cold. He turned his head and said to the dark place behind him, "Mozhan, what do you think of this matter?" "My lord, you should be cautious when doing things. What you decide will definitely not go wrong." A hoarse and rich voice came from the darkness. In the dark, the one is about 1.9 meters tall, with big arms and round waist, wearing an all-black armor. The black armor is matched with his fleshy face and calm expression, plus the 1.5-meter-long gun on his back. Miyoyu's two-handed sword made people shudder just by looking at it. This person is the only ill-level anger master in the south besides Dawn, who was once discovered by Bard and secretly accepted under his command. Compared with some older Dawns, the Magic Mountain, who has an A-level anger talent, is stronger than weaker. He is now an important support for the father and son of Bard. At midnight, there was silence in the entire castle. 5 or 6 men, wearing armor and black coats, walked quietly towards Jason's room with sharp weapons. At this time, the sleepy-eyed Marty just came out to go to the bathroom and accidentally saw the sharp weapons in the hands of the men in black at Jason's door, shining under the moonlight. He immediately thought of himself and became energetic. He tiptoed to Kolradi's room, trying to wake him up in the dark. Galati, who has been upgraded to be level and has the ability to perceive anger, woke up immediately after Marty touched his bedside. "What? Chill. Don't make a sound, it's me." Marty immediately covered Galadi's mouth and said to Galadi suicidally, "Marty, what are you doing here?" Galadi said to Marty, still cautiously, with the other hand quietly touching his saber. After all, he still doesn't trust Marty, and he is more or less wary of him. I got up to pee, and suddenly I saw a group of people walking towards the young master's room with weapons. I was afraid that I would not be their opponent by myself, so I called you to help. Then why are you still standing there? Let's go. If the young master has anything to do, it will be over. Gallardi jumped up from the bed as he spoke, put on his clothes casually, picked up his saber, and rushed out. Marty followed suit. The group of men in black were discussing how to open them at Jason's door. They know that the doors in the castle are locked by a wooden stick and hooks on the door and the wall next to it. They took out all kinds of tools to open the door, but they failed to touch the wooden bolt after several attempts, so they were a little anxious. Nord said to his subordinates in a low voice impatiently, "Didn't you do well when you practiced just now? Why can't you open it here?" "My lord, I'm also wondering. It should be in this position. I don't know why it didn't happen." The subordinate who tried for a long time and failed to open the door said to Nord. At this time, a kid who looked a little dazed came over and said to Nord, "Will the door be unlocked?" Snapped. The irritable Nord slapped the stunned man with a backhand. "Go away, you idiot. Are we that stupid? If the door opens with a push, how can we?" Squeak. Following Nord's strokes against the door, he pushed the door inadvertently, and the door actually opened. Nord opened his mouth in shock and said to his subordinates, How is it possible?" The stunned subordinate looked at Nord with aggrieved eyes and kept rubbing his swollen face. Embarrassed, Nord avoided his sight and walked directly into the room. At this time, Jason was lying on the bed, sleeping soundly. He was still dreaming about his wedding night with his ex-wife, and his saliva flowed onto the pillow. Nord tiptoed to Jason's bed and said viciously to Jason, "I'm sorry, boy. I can only blame you for your bad luck." Nord said and drew his sword. At this time, Jason turned over suddenly, hugged the pillow in his arms, and muttered, "Ishwan, why did you betray me? Could it be that I treated you badly? Why did you leave me? Why did you leave me? Hurt me like this?" Jason's action really scared Nord and the others, and they all took out their weapons nervously and pointed them at Jason. After seeing Jason talking in his sleep, there was no movement at all. Nord breathed a sigh of relief and said in a low voice, "Damn, I was shocked. I thought this guy woke up. Go to hell." Nord said, raising the sword in his hand high. But just when he was about to cut it down, he suddenly made a quick calculation in his mind and felt that if Dao In, the king of the South Territory, found out about this sword attack, he would probably be executed. To be on the safe side, Nord handed the sword in his hand to a subordinate next to him and said, "Come, this opportunity to make meritorious service is given to you." Leave it to me? Why?" the subordinate said to Nod with a confused face. "Oh, don't dawdle. What if someone finds out? Hurry up." The stunned soldier directly interrupted Nord, who was about to speak. Nuode was a little unhappy and pulled the dazed boy over and took his sword from the hand of the man and said to him, Come on, okay? Come on, okay." And the dazed kid said to Nu with a smile, "He hasn't touched a well-made sword yet. He just took this opportunity to enjoy himself." That dumb boy had just held the sword. When it came, crash, with a sound, Galady broke in through the window next to him, with yellow-armed anger on his body. Seeing that the situation was wrong, Nord yelled at the stunned kid, "Hurry up and kill Jason Dawn." The boy trembled in fright when faced with Kolradi, who suddenly rushed in, and the sword in his hand fell to the ground with a clang. Nord was so angry that he didn't hit one place, and immediately picked up the sword on the ground and released his blue-armed anger to chop at Jason. At this time, Jason had also been awakened, rolled out of the bed, and came to Galadi's side in a state of embarrassment. I saw that his bed was cut in half by Nord's sword. Jason took a deep breath, hugged the pillow in his hand involuntarily, and said in horror, "Damn, I was almost killed in my dream. Is it so exciting?" Galade glanced at Jason, and then confirmed to Jason, "Young master, are you okay?" Jason glanced at Galadi, and threw away the pillow in his hand in embarrassment. After adjusting his state, he said to Galadi, It's okay. Fortunately, you came in time and woke me up. Otherwise, I might have been divided into two parts like that bed. Nord stomped his feet in anger when he saw that the duck in his hand was gone. Gritting his teeth, he said, "Damn it." The brothers fought against them. Nord saw that he had no way out now, and seeing that he had the advantage of numbers, he rushed towards Jason and Cardeas with a sword in his hand. Galady wielded his sword, released a strong golden-armed anger, and said to Nord and the others, "Just let the horse come. Young master, the injury on your right hand is not healed yet, so you can't use your strength. So leave it to me, you first walk." Jason heard Galady's impassioned words, but he couldn't get into it at all, because Jason had seen too many such bloody plots on TV, and it was also what he complained about the most. Is it still necessary to run? Isn't it human if you shout? How can I say that I am also the deputy city Lord of Sagos? I still have this majesty. Jason said to Galady. After Jason finished speaking, he yelled directly towards the door, "Come here. There are assassins." Seeing that the situation was not good, Nord took his brothers directly to Galactica, choosing that he only wanted to defeat Galactica and then escaped. But after all, it's still not at this level, and with the help of Marty, Galady won't be at a disadvantage even if he is 4-on-6. Not long after, Minster, who was in charge of distributing military power at Sagos, came to Jason's room with a large number of soldiers. "Who? Since you dare to openly assassinate in my Sagos castle, I think you're tired of work, and you still don't put down your weapon." Minster, who has a majestic Chinese character face, is tall and tall. Although his temples have turned gray, he still has the demeanor of a general. When Nord saw Munster arriving with his troops, he knew that he was out of luck and would definitely be caught. Nord threw the sword in his hand to the ground, raised his hands, and looked at the dazed boy viciously, so angry that he almost bit his teeth off. If he hadn't been talking too much, maybe Jason would have become a ghost under the knife now, but now they were all arrested instead. Minster saw that Nord had dropped the sword in his hand and ordered, "Come on, tell me that they will take them all." The soldiers behind Munster rushed over and captured Nord and his party. Minster came to Jason and said to Jason, "Young master, are you all right?" Jason waved his hands and said to Minster, pretending to be calm, it's okay, are you?" Jason looked at Minster and felt a little strange. "Oh, I think the young master has never met me. I am the commander of the Sagos army, and I am directly under your father's management. Anyone who wants to transfer the army in Sagos must obtain my consent," Minster said to Jia. Sun explained, "Isn't this the spy that my father planted here? It seems that my father is not too stupid. He still has a trick up his sleeve." Jason thought to himself as he looked at Munster. Minster came to Nord's side and tore off the mask on his face. Minster took a closer look at his face, recognized Nuode, and questioned Nuode with a serious expression. "Why are you, kid? Tell me, why did you come to kill the young master?" Nord faltered nervously for a long time, but didn't say anything. "You're not going to tell me, are you? Come on, drag him out and behead him." Munster shouted. After hearing this, Nord panicked immediately and shouted in a hurry, wait a minute. I want to see Lord Kylada. I want to see Lord City Lord. Why is it so noisy in the middle of the night? Who wants to see me?" At this time, Kylada just walked in. Nord saw Kylada and seemed to see the hope of life and quickly shouted to Kylada, "Master, City Master, help me. My lord, you came at the right time. Your entourage wanted to assassinate the young master, but we captured it. I don't know if you know about it." Minster asked Kylada. Based on his knowledge of Kylada, he knew that this matter had something to do with Kylada. "What? I've always been so kind to you, and you actually did this behind my back." Kylada pretended to be angry and said to Nord, "Sir, I don't have one." Nord is also in a dilemma now and doesn't know what to say. He feels that he's going to die no matter what, so he swallowed nervously. Kylada stared at him suddenly, revealing endless killing intent, and said coldly, "Go to hell." In the next second, everyone present only saw a flash of yellow light, and Kylada sealed Nord's throat with a sword. Blood spilled all over the ground, and Jason couldn't help but feel a little terrified. Is it really okay for him to be an enemy of such a cruel guy? Jason took a breath and thought to himself, Kylada couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief after finishing Nuad. He was afraid that Nuod would betray him just now. If Minsta knew about this, he might be in trouble. Kylada put the sword back into the scabbard and turned to look at Jason. But his face still had a strong, killing intent, and Jason shivered involuntarily when he was so frightened, and then hid behind Garati. Kylada's eyes followed Galati's body in this way. Kylada looked at Kylada carefully and said with some surprise, "I didn't expect you to be a B-level Wrathmaster, yes. I have you to protect my younger brother. I can rest assured, Master Munster, it seems that our castle guards at night are a bit poor. This is your responsibility." Minster snorted softly and said with something in his words, "As the saying goes, it's hard to guard against the night wind's thieves. I hope you, the city lord, can take good care of your people and don't let this kind of thing happen again." Kylie Doppy said to Minster with a half-smile, "Don't worry, my lord. I will take good care of my people. Okay, it's getting late. Everyone should rest. I'm dying. I can't keep my eyes open, brother. I'm leaving first." Kylada said to Jason and hurriedly left Jason's room. After a few polite words with Jason, Minster also left. "Rest, young master. I'll watch for you tonight," Galadis said to Jason. Jason glanced at the messy room. Although the bloodstains on the floor had been cleaned up, Jason still felt a little scared. Toots out to Galadi. "How do you sleep here? Someone died here just now, and he was the one who wanted to kill me. Now he's become a ghost. Isn't it easier to kill me?" Jason couldn't help showing his cowardly side. "Haha, the young master is too cowardly, isn't he? He couldn't kill you when he was alive, let alone dead now." Marty blurted out without thinking. Jason couldn't help but blush after hearing what Marty said. "Let's go to Galati's room to rest," Jason finally suggested without overcoming the fear in his heart. "Of course there's no problem. It just so happens that the bed here is broken and I can't sleep. So please come to my place first, the young master, and make a night," Garati said to Jason. Jason nodded and left the room immediately and went to Galati's room to rest. Galati and Marty also volunteered to stand vigil at the door to protect Jason. It didn't take long to hear the door creak. It opened, and Jason poked his head out from inside. Galati immediately asked Jason, "What's wrong, young master?" Jason faltered and said, "That what?" Galactic frowned suspiciously at Jason and asked, "What?" Marty also stared at Jason, thinking he was going to say something. Jason took a deep breath and continued, "Can you guys come in and sleep with me?" Galati and Marty were speechless for a while, thinking that Jason was going to say something, but he was going to say this. Galati hesitated for a moment and said to Jason with some embarrassment, "Young master, I am straight." Marty also echoed, "Me too. What are you two thinking? You were just a little scared alone, and you just want the two of you to come in and chat with me." Jason said a little speechlessly, "No other ideas?" Marty added inappropriately. Jason suddenly became a little annoyed. "Fuck, what can I think? How can I say that I used to be a playboy? Okay? My orientation is very normal." Jason didn't forget to kick Marty after finishing speaking. Karate looked at Jason and couldn't help but smile and said to Jason, Okay, we won't tease you anymore. Let's go in and accompany you." Fortunately, the bed in the room was relatively spacious, and the three of Jason lay on the bed side by side with all their clothes on. Not long after lying on the bed, Marty fell asleep, and there was a sound of snoring resounding through the sky. This time someone was with him, and Jason felt a little more at ease, but Marty's snoring was really too loud, and he couldn't fall asleep for a while, so he couldn't help but think of the dream he had just now. Just now he dreamed about his wedding night with his wife. She was so beautiful that night. At that moment, he secretly swore that he would protect her for the rest of his life, and he naively thought that she would live a good life with him. Unexpectedly, after half a year of marriage with him, she got involved with another man, and even helped that man steal his work. Jason still feels a dull pain in his heart when he thinks about it now. "Galady!" Jason turned his head and shouted. "Huh? What's wrong with the young master?" Galati also turned his head and asked Jason. "It's nothing. I just can't sleep, and I want to chat with you." Jason put his hands under his head and said to Galati calmly, Galady also happened to be disturbed by Marty's snoring, so he didn't want to sleep and responded to Jason, "Okay, young master, tell me, what do you want to talk about?" Jason paused for a moment and said to Galady, "I want to ask you, when you found out that the woman you love has gone with someone else, what were you thinking at that moment?" Galady glanced at Jason, smiled bitterly, and said to Jason, "My lord, are you planning to expose my scars and make me hate you again? Of course not, and I think you should have let go of it now, and also understand that she doesn't know that you do everything for her, doesn't it?" Jason waved his hand and asked Galady. Galady shook her head with a smile and sighed deeply. "Oh, young master, you are right. I have really let go of it now, but when I just found out that she abandoned me in order to climb up your high branch, I really broke down, and in those few days I was only accompanied by despair and unwillingness." Garrity felt his nose sore while talking. In order to keep his tears from falling, Garrity rubbed his nose quickly and controlled the tears that were already swirling in his eyes. "I can understand your feelings. I have also experienced such an experience. At that time, I felt that I had nothing, as if I was abandoned by the world," Jason said to Galady. Galady smiled bitterly and said, "How could you have such an experience? That girl dared to betray you." Galady's tone was full of disbelief. Jason took it over and said, "Why not? She betrayed me after we all became a family, and the most ironic thing was that I didn't know until half a year after she betrayed me." "Really? Didn't expect the young master to be infatuated?" Garrity said with a smile. Jason shook his head with a smile and said, "There are many things you don't know." In this way, Jason and Galady talked freely all night under Martina's special BGM-like snoring. The sun slowly climbed up from the bottom of the mountain, driving away the darkness with its light. It's so comfortable to sleep," Marty said, stretching on the bed and yawning. Marty rubbed his eyes and sat up, only to find that Jason and Galady had already got up and were looking at him. "Hey, young master, you woke up quite early. After all, you are aristocrats, so your work and rest habits are good," Marty said to the two. Jason glared at Marty, stood up quickly, and shouted at him, "What a hammer! We didn't sleep all night because of your snoring, okay? Look." Jason pointed to Marty's dark circles under his eyes. Marty glanced at the faces of Jason and Galady and found that both of them had dark circles under their eyes, and their faces were tired. It was obvious that they hadn't slept all night. He scratched his head with an embarrassed smile and said, "Haha, I'm sorry. Why didn't you wake me up?" Okay. Hurry up and cool off and stay there. Let the two of us have a good sleep," Jason said, pushing Marty away and lying on the bed. Galady also came over, glanced at Marty, and said to him, "Your snoring is really scary." "Haha, if that's the case, you go to bed first, and I'll call you in the afternoon," Marty said and left the room. Galady was really sleepy too and lay down on the bed, and the two of them soon fell asleep like this. 4 or 5 days have passed since Nord assassinated Jason. These days, Jason has been living with Galady, eating and living together, and nothing bad happened. Everything is peaceful. Early in the morning, Jason got up early and took Galady and 3 others to the main hall of the city lord, because today was the day that Jason was officially appointed as the deputy city lord. The main hall was also overcrowded early. All the officials of Sagos, big and small, came here. Kylida and Munster also came here early. After numerous officials congratulated him and wanted to get acquainted with him, Jason led Galady, and others finally came to Minster's side. "Young master, you have to do a good job this time. Don't act foolishly, and don't disappoint Lord Dawn's expectations of you," Minster said to Jason with earnestness. Jason nodded with a smile and said to Minster, "Don't worry, General, this is for sure, as long as others don't keep troubling me." As Jason said, he looked at Kylida, who was on the side. Kylida heard that there was something in Jason's tone, so he turned his head and asked Jason, "My brother seems to be targeting me?" Jason laughed and patted Kylida on the shoulder and said, "Look at what you said. Brother, I hope you can protect me. After all, you have been in Sagos for so long, and you are deeply rooted and powerful. It shouldn't be a problem if you cover it, right?" "Of course," Kylida said, looking at Jason with a murderous look in his eyes. Seeing Kyloda's eyes, Jason couldn't help being frightened and quickly retracted his hand on Kyloda's shoulder. After all, Jason is still on the same level as Kyloda, and his aura cannot be compared with Kyloda at all, and this is after Jason has added the identity of the son of the King of the South. Minster saw that the time was almost up, so he stood up and coughed twice, signaling the people in the hall to quiet down. Following Minster's cough, all the officials who were trying to get close to each other fell silent and stared at Minster, which was enough to see Minster's prestige in Sagos. After the audience quieted down, Munster said in a deep and confident voice, "Everyone, why did you call everyone here today? Should you all know?" "I know," everyone replied in unison. Minster pulled Jason over and said to everyone, "This is the son of our King of the South, young Master Jason Ryan. From now on, he will become the second in command of our Deputy City Lord of Sagos. Guide and help him to assist the City Lord of Kyloda to manage Sagos well. Young Master, please say a few words." Then Minster handed over the right to speak to Jason. Let me tell you," Jason asked Minster in a somewhat confused manner. Minster nodded and stepped aside. Jason saw that he couldn't escape today, turned his head to look at the nearly 50 officials, big and small, and found that they were all staring at him with wide eyes, waiting for him to speak, and now Jason was even more nervous. Nervous, Jason stood there in a daze for more than 10 seconds, not thinking about what to say or how to say it. Kyloda, who was lazily sitting on the throne of the city lord, dragged his chin and looked at Jason with disdain, thinking to himself, "Humph, trash is trash. It's really useless." Jason thought for a long time, and finally cleared his throat and said to everyone, "Thank you, I don't have anything to say. I just want to say that I hope everyone can help me in the future so that I can help my church better. Brother Kyloda managed Sagos well. Thank you, everyone." Jason bowed politely to everyone. Everyone politely gave Jason a round of applause. Jason's humble words also surprised Munster a little. He had heard that Jason Ryan was a rebellious and unruly swinger brother. When he saw him today, he was completely different from that. At least he was somewhat reserved. Jason also left a good impression on Munster. After Jason finished speaking, Minster took out a silver lion's head badge the size of half a palm and put it on Jason's chest. This badge can only be owned by the Deputy City Lord of Sagos. You must keep it well and don't lose it. Do you understand? Minster said to Jason. "Well, I got it," Jason agreed, and while speaking, Jason also looked at Kyloda's chest and saw the same badge on Kyloda's chest, but his was made of gold. Baina is the symbol of the city lord. Okay. Today is also the beginning of the month. The Minister of Construction and the Minister of Management stay here. Other idlers should leave first. We are going to hold an internal affairs meeting. Kyloda suddenly stood up and said to everyone. The bustling people in the hall began to leave. Kyloda glanced at Galati and the others who were still standing behind Jason and said, "You should also leave the Internal Affairs Council. There can only be 5 of us present." Although Galati and the others didn't want to leave, they had no other choice but to turn their heads and follow the crowd to go out of the hall. Galactic also noticed that Jason was walking outside with Galactic and the others, and shouted at Jason with a contemptuous smile, "Our Deputy City Lord, where are you going? You plan not to participate in the first internal affairs meeting." "Huh, how come? I was just joking," Jason said and walked back. In fact, it was because he was afraid. After all, he was not familiar with any of these guys. What if they all belonged to Kyloda and wanted to take his life? Jason was still very nervous. Because of what happened a few days ago, Jason already felt like he was bitten by a snake for 10 years and was afraid of straw ropes. Soon everyone left the hall, leaving only Jason, Kyloda, Minster, Minister of Construction Og, and Minister of Management Usmit. Jason took a closer look at these 2 people he had never seen before. The Minister of Construction, Og, has a burly figure, thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a Chinese character face. He looks like a slightly younger and smaller Munster, and he doesn't look like a bad guy. But another management minister, Ma Li Fu, is different. He has a shrewd look and a bright bald head, making him look like a treacherous businessman. "Everyone sit down," Kyloda said when he saw that there were only 4 of them left, and at the same time sat directly on the seat of the city lord, crossing his legs. "Come on, Deputy City Lord, sit down." Minster came to a chair on the left side of the city lord's seat and invited Jason to sit here with him. Among the four people, Jason was the only one who liked Minster. Faced with Minster's invitation, Jason went over without hesitation and sat on the left side with Minster. Sat on the right. After they were all done, Minster said, "My lords, last month I went to train new recruits, and I wasn't there, and the Deputy City Lord just came here. So I'll trouble you two to tell us about the situation of Sagos last month." Kylida was very upset to see Minster directly leading the meeting. "Obviously Lao Tzu is the lord of the city. You started talking before I spoke. Wait for me, you old bastard. If I have a chance, I will cut you to pieces. If you don't take me seriously, I will bury you in the soil." Kylida thought to himself, "It's nothing different. It's the same as before. More than a dozen houses have been recovered. It just so happens that there is no more open space in Sagos." The city lord proposed to bulldoze the place and build a fighting arena, hoping to attract people from the southern border. More powerful wrath masters. Og said, "So the population of Sagos lost some last month?" "So last month, Sargos lost some more people? There's a population loss every month. If this continues, our Sargos will soon become an empty city. What do you think, Minister of Management?" Munster? As he spoke, he looked at Marifu, the Minister of Management. I will try my best to control it in the future," Malifu said with a guilty conscience. Minster also felt the strangeness and continued to ask Malifu, "I have always focused on training soldiers, and I have never understood anything about the city. Please explain it to me, Minister of Administration, so that I know what it is." Condition. Malifu was suddenly stopped by the question and raised his head to look at Kylida with distressed eyes, while Kylida tapped on the table without saying a word. Malifu saw that it was impossible for Kylida to help him in this situation, and he could only rely on himself to get through. His little eyes moved cunningly, thinking about how to answer Munster's words. Jason watched silently. He knew what was going on here, and was just waiting to see how Malifu would explain it to Munster. If Munster found out that they had changed the tax collection rules without authorization, Kylida would definitely, it has to be played out. Jason felt a burst of joy at the thought of this, and his previous nervousness eased a lot. Well, it may be that these days the number of thieves and bandits outside the city has been significantly reduced by us, and some miserly people are unwilling to live in the city and pay taxes, so they choose to leave. Malifu told Munster said, "Damn it, it's all right. Not only did they not tell about their tax increase, but they also put money on their own face. He is a character." Jason sighed secretly in his heart. Is this really the case? It can only be said that Sagos still makes them feel uncomfortable, otherwise they would not be willing to leave. Minster said, "I will supervise Marifu on this matter, so you don't have to worry about it, Lord Munster." Kylida interrupted Munster and said in a stern tone, "Kylida is quite dissatisfied with Munster's meddling behavior. Of course you, the city lord, will take care of this. I'm just exposing some problems for you. After all, Lord Dawn told me to help you well." Minster responded to Kylida. Okay, is there anything else?" Kylida said impatiently when Minster used Dawn to press him again. Jason saw that this matter was about to be fooled by them, so he couldn't sit still immediately, and said to everyone, "I think the serious population loss of Sagos is not as simple as you said, the Minister of Management." As soon as Jason's words came out, the other three looked at Jason in unison. Minster asked Jason with great interest, "So, does the Vice City Master know anything else?" "I also found out by accident." When Jason said this, he deliberately glanced at Kylida, wanting to see what kind of expression Kylida had on his face. With a smile. "Hey, just laugh. You won't be able to laugh after a while." Jason thought proudly. "Then let's listen to the Deputy City Lord." Minster said to Jason, "Okay, that day I accidentally found a team of tax-collecting soldiers, and I learned from them that since you took the seat of Sagos City Lord, Sagos has collected taxes once a month. Brother, do you know about this?" Jason asked Kylida with a smile. "Brother, where did you hear the slander?" This is absolutely nothing. Kylada vetoed it. Jason smiled proudly and said, "This is really not true. I witnessed it with my own eyes, and the soldier who collected the tax told me." "It's empty talk, brother. What evidence do you have?" Kylada asked Jason with a smile. Minster then asked Jason, "You don't have any evidence, Deputy City Lord? As long as you have evidence to prove that what you said is true, I will investigate this matter to the end." How simple this is. Let's go to the street and ask the people if we don't know. Jason said with an idea. Minster nodded and said, "Yes, the Deputy City Lord is right. Let's ask the people in the city directly and listen to their answers to know whether it is true or not." Jason felt that he had the hope of using this matter to directly bring down Kylada, and he was also secretly happy in his heart. After Munster finished speaking, he stood up and said to everyone, "Then everyone, shall we go to the street together?" Of course, there is no problem with this. Kylada was the first to stand up and walk out of the hall. Seeing Kylada being so crisp and clear, Jason felt a little unsure and had an unknown premonition in his heart. Not long after, in order to hide their identities so that the common people could speak the truth unaffected, they put on the clothes of ordinary people and came to the streets of Sagos. Minster took the lead and came to a tavern with a relatively large flow of people. Since there were not many people in the tavern in the morning, when he saw Minster and his party walking in, the shop assistant welcomed them enthusiastically. "What would you like to order, gentlemen?" The store clerk asked with a smile, and led them to find a table and sit down. "Just bring us a few small dishes," Minster said politely to the shop assistant after sitting down. "Okay, everyone, please wait a moment." The shop assistant was about to leave. Minster immediately stopped the shop assistant. "Brother, wait a minute. I still have something to ask you." "What's the matter? Can you ask the manager?" The store clerk replied. Minster smiled and asked the little brother, "I want to ask you how the Sagos tax is collected. We are a group of wanderers and want to find a comfortable place to settle down." When the shop boy heard Munster's question about taxes, he couldn't help but trembled. Then he swallowed and said, "We here are the same as other cities in the south. We collect taxes per capita every quarter." Son was a little excited. He stood up and asked the store clerk, "What is it? Are you sure what you said is true? I heard that it is collected once a month." The store clerk shook his head again and said, Nothing. Haha, it's all right now," Kylada said with a proud smile. "It seems that the Deputy City Lord has listened to someone's slander. I hope that the Deputy City Lord will learn to distinguish between true and false next time." Malifaux said to Jason with a smile on his face. Faced with such a situation, Jason didn't know what to do for a while and was extremely embarrassed. Damn, what's going on here? Could it be that the family and the soldiers teamed up to lie to me? Could it be that the family and those soldiers teamed up to lie to me? Jason thought to himself. Kylada stood up and said to everyone, "Let's go. Now the matter has been clarified. I'm going to die of pain in this, rags. Go back quickly." Minster also stood up and patted Jason on the shoulder and said to Jason, "I hope that next time, Deputy City Lord, you will not just believe what other people say. There are many rumors, true and false. Don't let them fool you eyes." It was obvious that they just thought Jason was messing around and wasting their time, and Jason could take it. Jason said to them in order not to fight for steam buns, "Wait a minute. I can take you to meet the family that was taxed that day to prove that what I said is true." "The person you're looking for? They might have been bought off. How can you believe that?" Malifaux immediately retorted Jason. "That's right. It's not convincing at all." Og on the side also echoed. When they said this, Jason himself felt a little unreasonable. Although Munster intends to help Jason, he is a little helpless now. "Hey, what are you doing? Is the Deputy City Lord like that?" "Since the Deputy City Lord has proposed it, let's go and have a look," Kylada said with a smile. "What?" Jason couldn't help being surprised. He didn't expect that the person who was least likely to support him would support him, making Jason even more confused about Kylada. "City Lord, I think this is completely unnecessary," Malifaux said to Kylada in a panic and kept winking at Kylada because he knew that if this matter was exposed, Kylada would definitely push it all to him. It is a capital crime to secretly change the tax on the body and put the excess into his own pocket. Malifu persuaded Kylida to sweat. Kylida grinned and glanced at Jason and said, "My brother is a new official. We should give him some face, shouldn't we? Okay, since the city lord has said so, let's go and have a look. Deputy City Lord, I will trouble you to lead the way." Minster stood up and said. Although Jason didn't understand what Kylida was doing, he didn't want to waste this opportunity, so he immediately led everyone to the house where the tax was collected that day. When he came to the door of this house, Jason walked over and knocked on the door first. Boom, boom, boom. "Is anyone there?" Jason called out. "Who is it?" A woman's voice came from inside, and not long after that, the tightly closed door opened with a bang, and a woman poked her head out through the crack of the door. The woman immediately recognized Jason after taking a look at Jason and the others. She turned her eyes and saw Kylida, and her body trembled uncontrollably, showing no sign of fear. Seeing the woman's nervous look, Jason smiled and said to her, "Don't be afraid. We just want to tell you something." The woman slowly opened the door and asked Jason, "What do you want me to prove?" "I just want you to tell me about the day I came to help you drive away those tax soldiers, and the fact that you were taxed on January dash. I need you to help me tell them," Jason said, and motioned Minster and the others to come and listen. Malifu's face was covered with sweat, and he was thinking about how to explain it later, so he stood there motionless. "Master Malifu, what are you doing? Are you hot?" Minster turned to see Malifu sweating profusely and asked Malifu. Malifu became even more nervous when he was questioned by Minster. He quickly wiped the sweat off his face with his hands and bowed to Minster with a smile. "It's just that I'm not in good health recently. It's just a little weak and sweaty. Lord Munster doesn't need to worry about it. You have to tell the truth." Kylida looked at the woman with a smile and said. The woman swallowed nervously, avoiding Jason's eyes on purpose, and said, "Your memory must be wrong, my lord. The villain has never seen you before? I don't even know what you said." Hearing what this woman said, Jason was stupefied all of a sudden and said to her anxiously, Hey, one has to be conscientious. Aren't you talking nonsense with your eyes open? Why haven't you seen me? I was the one who saved you that day." The woman shook her head and said, "Really not, my lord. If you think about it carefully, maybe your memory is wrong." "I remembered something wrong." Jason was a little anxious. He didn't expect that the woman would retract her confession at this time. Now, Jason finally knew why Kylida spoke for him and came here to find his family. It seems Kylida has already bought this family early. Jason could only stare at Kylida unwillingly, but there was nothing he could do about it. Now, Jason was idle and even more stupid. He just slapped himself in the face. Malifu, who was still sweating nervously just now, suddenly regained his energy after hearing what the woman said. "Ha ha ha. The Deputy City Lord is completely speechless, right? If you want us to accompany you around the street, you could just say it, right? The merger is like this." Complacent, dancing with hands and feet, it is difficult for people not to pay attention to him. Jason said to Malifu impatiently, "Master Malifu, didn't you say that you are unwell? Judging by your current state, could it be that you have epilepsy?" "Ha ha ha." Kylida and the others laughed at the same time. "You, Deputy City Lord, don't take it out on me when you're in a bad mood," Malifu said against Jason. Scolding, in the previous life, Jason had never lost as long as he wanted to scold. Jason was about to roll up his sleeves and compete with Malifu, and Kylida stood up and said, "Okay, that's it. We are very tired. Let's go back and rest." After finishing speaking, Kylida turned his head and left. After Malifu glared at Jason, he followed and left. "Deputy City Lord, you two gentlemen of Munster, I will leave first and say goodbye." Ogre said hello to the two of them and then left. "Don't worry about it. There is still a long way to go. The water in Sagos is far deeper than you think." Minster patted Jason on the shoulder and said, "Well, thank you, Lord Minster, for your teaching. I will definitely keep it in mind," Jason said to Minster. After that, Minster also turned and left, leaving Jason alone. After they were all gone, Jason turned to look at the woman. The woman immediately knelt on the ground in panic. "My lord, I'm sorry. I was also forced to do nothing." My husband and son are all in his hands, so I have to do it. I knew it would not be that simple, as expected, Jason said with some displeasure. He really didn't expect Kylida to move so fast. It seems that he underestimated Kylida's ability too much. Okay, get up, I don't blame you. As he spoke, Jason stepped forward to help the woman up. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. The woman kowtowed to Jason again, and then immediately returned to her home, closing the door firmly. Jason glanced at the tightly closed door, sighed helplessly, shook his head, and said, "Who is the sky bypassing?" Although Jason's plan to take Kylida down today and expose his evil deeds failed, he even slapped him in the face. But he also gained something. It is obvious that the management Minister Malafu is completely a dog of Kylida, and Minster and Kylida are obviously dissatisfied with each other. Moreover, Munster's prestige in Sargos is obviously very high, so high that Kylida had to give him 3 points. So if Jason wants to gain a foothold in Sargos, he must stand with Munster and be with him. Let's fight Kylida together. As for the Minister of Construction, Og, he was a bit mysterious. He didn't talk much, so Jason didn't know whether he was an enemy or a friend. Oh, this kind of thing that only happens in the Dogblood Palace fighting drama. I actually have to experience and participate in it myself now. It's really annoying. Jason rubbed his head and said as he walked. Seeing that Kylida and the others had come back one by one, Galady and the others immediately came to the castle gate to welcome Jason here. Kylida passed by the 3 of them and stared straight at Villian, as if she could see through Villian's clothes, which made Villian feel a little embarrassed. I have met Lord Kylida. May I ask you, where is my young master? Galade said to Kylida. Firstly, he wanted to transfer his responsibility to his sister Villian, and secondly, he wanted to know Jason's current situation as early as possible. Don't worry, he should be back soon. Kylida glanced at Galadi with some disappointment and said to Galactic angrily. After finishing speaking, he turned his head and continued to look at Wei Lian and said to Wei Lian with an evil smile on his face, "My brother is I really don't know how to pity such a little beauty as a follower, ah? Little beauty, do you have time to have a drink with me tonight?" No. Wylian refused Kylida without hesitation. Wylian didn't like Kylida at all, and she didn't even look at Kylida when she spoke. Hey, unexpectedly, such a cute and pitiful little beauty is quite irritable. Kylida said to Wylian with a light smile. Our young master is back. As soon as Kylida finished speaking, Marty saw Jason's figure in the distance and shouted, and quickly ran towards Jason, followed closely by Kaladi, and Villian, who was harassed by Kylida, also quickly ran towards Jason and took this opportunity to stay away from Kylida. Kylida looked at Wylian's back, smiled disdainfully, and said, Wait, you will be mine sooner or later. After finishing speaking, Kylida went straight back to the castle. Young master, are you okay? Then Kylida didn't cause any trouble for you, right? After Karate came to Jason, she asked Jason, No, there's so many people. How dare he trouble me? Jason waved his hand and said to Karate, It's fine if you don't. We're afraid that that person, Kylida, will take this opportunity to attack you again. Marty also said to Jason with a sigh of relief, By the way, have you seen Lord Munster? Has he come back? Jason changed his mind and wanted to ask Galadi and the others about humanity. Well, Munster has been back for a while, and he should still be in the castle now. Villian said to Jason, Galadi troubles you to come and invite Master Munster to have lunch with us. We need to show that we have the same position as him and let him be our friend. Jason had already figured it out on the way back. If he wanted to gain a foothold in Sagos, he had to have a good relationship with this minster. Okay, young master, don't worry. Leave this matter to me. After Galade said this, he headed to the castle to find Munster. Jason turned his head and asked Villian, What did Kylida say to you just now? I think you seem disgusted. That guy Kylida wants to invite Wei Lian to dinner, and I hate that lewd look in his eyes, let alone Wei Lian. Maddie answered Jason's question for Villian. That's it. That guy is really arrogant. He's already trying to pick up girls with me. Just wait and see who of us kills the other in the end. Jason frowned and said to himself, A strong desire to defeat Kylida ignited in his heart. Soon Jason prepared several exquisite meals in his room, waiting for Minster's arrival. Munster also arrived as promised, and as soon as he entered the door, he laughed and said to Jason, "Haha, the deputy city lord has just come to Sagos, and he should be a guest. I should have invited you as a landlord. I didn't expect the deputy city lord to invite me first. How embarrassing it is. Okay, Master Minster, don't be polite to me. As a junior, I should do all of this." Jason said to Minster modestly. I have always heard that Jason Donai is a young man with lofty ideals, but after getting along with him these past few days, I found that he is actually a humble and polite person. It seems that I really can't believe those hearsays. Minster looked at Jason in front of him and sighed. Jason also enjoyed Munster's praise. He smiled and said to Munster, "My lord, you praise me too much. Come on, sit down quickly. These meals will be cold after a while." As he spoke, Jason pulled out the chair and let Minster sit down before he sat down. After Jason sat down, he saw Galati and the other 3 people standing on the side. He couldn't bear to eat and let them watch, so he smiled and asked Minster, "My lord, these are all my friends. Do you mind if they sit down and dine with us?" Galati and the others were very moved when they heard that Jason had interceded with Munster for them. What? Did the deputy city lord want your followers to dine with you at the same table? Minster frowned and asked Jason. Minster's question made the atmosphere a little awkward, and Jason was also a little confused. He didn't expect Minster to care about this. What? Does your lord think there's anything wrong? What? Does your lord think there's something wrong? Jason asked Minster a little falsely. After all, he just wanted to please Minster this time, because such a small matter disturbed Minster's interest, and the gain was not worth the loss. Minster looked at Jason's cautious look and laughed loudly. Ha ha ha! Now Jason didn't know what was going on, and looked at Minster in a daze. I didn't expect that the Ryan family, which has always been proud and arrogant, and would not bow down to the king, would have someone as approachable and caring as the deputy city lord. In this regard, you and your father are really the same. Ming Si special sighed. Seeing what Minster said, Jason also breathed a sigh of relief, and he finally let go of his concerns, knowing that now is a good time to establish a good image. I never feel that they are my subordinates. I always treat them as my companions. As soon as Jason's words came out, Galati and the others were simply moved, and everyone was moved. Munster was also moved when he heard it, turned his head and said with a smile to the Galatides, "What are you guys still doing in a daze? The deputy city lord has said so. Why don't you guys sit down quickly?" "Well, Galati goes and gets some tableware. Let's all sit down and eat together," Jason said following Munster's words. "Thank you, young master. I'll get it right away." Galati quickly agreed. After this incident, Minster's affection for Jason doubled, and he began to eat and chat with Jason without any scruples. Jason also took the opportunity for Munster to put down his worries and suddenly said to Munster, "What happened today is really embarrassing." After speaking, Jason shook his head pretending to be deep with a look of grievance on his face. While eating, Munster smiled at Jason and said, "Hey, what's the matter? It's over anyway, so don't worry about it all the time, the deputy city lord." "I wonder if my lord thinks I'm lying?" Jason asked Minster with a casual look on purpose. Munster smiled meaningfully, but said nothing. "What do you mean, my lord? If you don't believe me, just say it, and I won't hold grudges," Jason said to Minster with a harmless smile on his face. "You're still too young. For a guy like Galati who is extremely cunning, he might be caught by you so easily. In Sagos, he can almost cover the sky with one hand. Talk to him like me. The right person is estimated to be eliminated by him soon," Minster said to Jason meaningfully. "So, do you believe me?" Jason asked Minster. Minster didn't immediately answer Jason's question. He looked around cautiously and made sure that there were no other people. Then he said to Jason, "I already knew what you found, but there is no proof." "So you already know?" "Let me tell you, it's no wonder that you deliberately talked about something in the meeting this morning. Presumably you intend to let them show their feet." Jason also suddenly realized that he always thought he had the first-hand information, but he didn't expect Minster to know it long ago, and secretly admired Minster's acting skills. There are some Oscar winners here. Are they all so good at acting? Jason complained in his heart. He only now realized how stupid he was in front of them before. Compared to them, he was really very simple. Jason put down the tableware in his hand and began to communicate with Minster seriously. Then since you know, why didn't you tell my father you are my father in Sagos? Even if there is no evidence, my father should listen to you. You don't believe it, do you? Seeing Jason's serious look, Minster also put down the tableware, sighed secretly, and continued to say to Jason, a lot of things are not that simple. Besides, Kylida is the mainstay of the Ryan family now. If I tell you your father is just adding trouble to him. Where did this come from? How could a moth like Kylida become the mainstay of our Ryan family? Jason asked Minster with a blank expression. To be honest, it's all because of your strength. Minster hesitated to speak, but Jason could hear what Minster meant. Minster obviously felt that Jason's strength was too weak to carry the Ryan family in the future, and only Kylida could carry the Ryan family. I understand what you mean, but what you said is reasonable, but I will gradually become stronger. I believe that as long as I work hard enough, I will become stronger one day, Jason said to Minster, silently making up his mind to make himself stronger as soon as possible. Well, I hope so. Minster nodded and said to Jason with a trace of comfort. The two chatted about some big and small things about Sagos, and after dinner, Munster also left. Oh, it's really unpleasant to be underestimated. After Minster left, Jason said to Galati and the others with a sense of loss, his heart full of bitterness. Don't worry about it, young master. He doesn't know that you still have supernatural power. I believe he will be impressed with you in a short time. Galati said to Jason seriously. In his heart, he felt that Jason would definitely become a big shot. Yeah, he doesn't know the power of the young master at all. I believe he wouldn't say that if he knew. Villian also came to comfort Jason. I understand what you said, but I really can't be happy when I'm suddenly underestimated. Forget about it. We have to figure out a way now. Where can I find a B-level angry beast crystal? Let me upgrade to B-level. I really want to go to Cat Viper to worship him as a teacher now. As soon as Jason mentioned the Cat Viper, he thought of the unrestrained figure of the Cat Viper, and he felt a little excited and really wanted to reach that level himself. This isn't easy. Why don't we just go to the place that sells Furious Beast crystals on the street and buy one? Marty blurted out. This is indeed the easiest way. However, the price of a B-grade Angry Beast crystal is around -gold coins. Cality told Modip. 1,000 gold coins. Marty swallowed a mouthful of saliva in shock and said in a trembling voice, 1,000 gold coins, according to the current market conditions, can buy hundreds of caddies of grain, which is enough for an ordinary family to live on for a year. Is it so expensive?